been such a very, very long time since I made a video, but life goes on and it's busy and I've got stuff to do, so apologies for that. So the car has been in, it's had its repairs and extra maintenance, and I've had it back. It's now second week of March at the minute. It's just started raining, great. And I've had the car back since I think I had it first week of January. So I'd sent it in to get some work done in a place that's not too far, about 40 minutes drive from me, in near Hitchin, a Porsche specialist, Friends Green Porsche, or Friends Green Porsche. If you haven't already seen their YouTube channel, please do check it out, because it's just really one of the reasons that I actually booked them in to get the work done on the 996 was through seeing how fastidious they are with their work and the level of detail, and they're clearly passionate Porsche specialists. So I took it up to them. So I've now had it back, and I've had a couple of months now to run it in, make sure everything's working as it should be, and I'm really, really happy. It was expensive, but a lot of the costs were due to me electing to get bits and pieces done rather than things that really needed to be done. So I don't know, panicking is the wrong word. I had concerns about the IMS bearing, and I know that it's one of those things that anyone looking at a 996 or an early 997 has potentially concerns about, because if it does go wrong, it can be catastrophic and could result in a £8,000 to £10,000 engine rebuild. And my thoughts were, I can afford a £2,000 or £3,000. £3,000? No, not that much. I can afford to get the IMS maintenance done and get it replaced and upgraded, but I'm not entirely sure I would be able to afford to get for an engine rebuild. So it's better for me to do the preventative work, because I don't have the money. I already had to borrow some money for this. I don't have any spare to go and then spend 10 grand on getting it rebuilt, but I did have enough to get the work done. So I'll go through the numbers later, because I've got the worksheets with me, but I've had quite a lot done now. But the main thing I sent the 996 in for was to get the IMS upgraded, and I ended up going for well, they use something called an EPS, I think it's European Part Solutions bearing. So rather than being a normal sort of bearing as in balls in a race, this is they're all cylindrical rollers, so that the actual force input on each individual roller is spread out over a much bigger area, so the wear is going to be less. So this should be for the lifetime of the car, hopefully. But one of the issues with second gen 996 being a Tiptronic, it meant that the engine and gearbox had to come out to do it. Because it's a Tiptronic, it's not that easy. It's not so you can't just drop the gearbox off, so the whole engine had to come out. And yeah, it's all been done, everything's great, and it just means now when the old bearings come out, I'll show you some video or pictures of it later. I mean, I'm not an expert on the bearing. It looks in pretty good condition, so it may not have needed doing. However, it was on my mind every time I was driving the car, and I wasn't enjoying it as much as I should, because I just had that nagging doubt in the back of my head. Now I no longer have that doubt in my head. I'm enjoying the car so much more. It just means I can go out, give it a little bit of stick, and not have any concerns that anything's going to go pop. So yeah, really, really pleased that that's now finally done. So yeah, that's all done and dusted now. But because the engine and gearbox had to come out, it made sense to get a fair few other bits done, because the access to the engine and was so much easier because it was already dropped and out of the car. So other things I've had done whilst the engine was out, although I know that the spark plugs have been done by the owner before last, I couldn't see anything about having the coil packs replaced. And I've had a look, and I had the wheel up on, I had the car up on jack stands, I had the wheel off, and got my head right into the wheel arch, and I could see that it was the old style coil packs, which means they're at least 8 or 9 years old. So it made sense, whilst the car is got the engine out, just get the coil packs done, because when I spoke to Friends Green Porsche, they said that the normal cost would be X, but because the engine's already out, the labour costs are hardly anything, because it's not difficult to get in there and get it done. So I had the coil packs placed with the more modern ones. I think they're all made by Baru anyway. So that's all been done. Whilst the engine and gearbox were out, it also made sense to get the there's a brake line that goes up and over the gearbox. I guess it's known as the up and over brake line, and it made sense that if there was any corrosion on that, even if it was slight, just to get that done, because if it does go and if corrosion sets in and there is a problem in the future, it means that I've got to get the engine and gearbox out again to get that brake line replaced. Whilst that was done, the guys actually said it seemed that was the only original brake line in the car. So previous owners have had brake lines replaced, and it is so yeah, basically there's no original brake lines left in the car now. So that's good from a I know I don't need to worry in the future kind of way. So yeah, really happy with that. What else did we do? Also, Luke at Friends Green said that something that might be worth looking at whilst the engine is out is the air oil separator. So it made sense. They had a look at it, and whilst it wasn't in awful condition, again, should anything go wrong with it in the future, it is going to be an absolute pain to sort out. It'd be an absolute pain to sort in the future. Well, not an absolute pain, but because of where it is in the engine bay, the access is not, should we say, straightforward. So it would cost more. So whilst the engine's out, get that done as well. What else did we do? So, do you want to go on your side of the road? Thank you. So I had those bits done. But there were also a few bits that were unexpected. So there was one of the under trays was cracked and just needed replacing. One of the other things that needed doing was that was it. When the car went in, it had started making quite a severe. Well, it started off as a little noise when I was doing 3-point turns, which in fact I'm going to do now, because I was trying to avoid some traffic and it's not really worked. So let's turn and get out of here. So, bloody rain. So one of the things that was that they highlighted was I'd noticed that I was starting to get a squeal from the engine on startup, and also when I was doing, for example, a 3-point turn. So if I was going lock to lock, I was getting quite a lot of this squealing noise coming from the rear of the car, and this had happened soon after I had jet washed under the car. I got the car up on jack stands, giving it a good jet wash, and I just assumed I'd sprayed some sort of grease or dirt onto one of the belts, and that was causing the squealing. Oh no, oh no, no, no. It was basically the steering pump was struggling because there was a leak, which meant that it was getting lower and lower on fluid. So yeah, basically the guy said that it was not in great shape, and that there was a leak in the power steering. So what did Luke say? I think he said it was a catastrophic leak. So yeah, had I not taken it in when I did, it potentially could have gotten an awful lot worse. So yeah, that was an unexpected cost. And what they suggested is actually, rather than replace it, because a brand new steering rack is going to be a couple of grand, they said refurbishing it, so having new pipes made up for it, might be a more sensible and cost-effective solution, basically. And so we went with that. They did it, and then what it turned out was that basically to do that, they had to drop down the front subframe, remove the steering rack, get the pipes all replaced, and then once that was done, put the car back together again, and it was making a grinding noise. So basically I got so low on the power steering fluid that I'd ended up ruining the steering rack. So yeah, we've got a replacement used but good steering rack in as well, and the problem is that, so it was a fair chunk of cash for that in the first place for a used one, but the labour to drop down the subframe, remove it, replace it, then find it hadn't worked and have to go and get drop it down again to then replace it rather than just renew and fix bits. Yeah, it soon adds up. So that was a fairly decent chunk of cash. So yeah, it's all added up, but all in, it's come to an eye-watering amount of 5,040 odd quid. So not exactly what you would call a cheap fix. As well as that, I'd had the differential oil changed. I think the front had already been done, so the rear differential oil changed, and gearbox service. And then because I'd had so many bits done as well, it made sense that actually Luke said that, well, it looks like it's due a major service. However, so much of it's being done, we'll only charge you X amount for the major service because we're already doing that as part of the rest of the work. So I've had a lot done. I'll go through it in a minute when I'll get the paperwork out. But yeah, it's a tidy sum of money. So basically now we're looking at, if you include the cost, all the buying costs, so buying the car, 15,750 plus the fees from collecting cars, which is 6% when you include the VAT, then all of the work I've just had done, we are basically now looking at, I've spent ballpark 22,000 on the car. So whilst I've just had to kick out £5,000 on some maintenance and repairs, some of that was just maintenance I would have had to have done anyway. Some of that I'd already budgeted for, and clearly some of it was unexpected. But as a car at this age, there's going to be issues, and there are going to be some unexpected issues apparently. So, but the reality is now I've got a really, really well sorted car. So a lot of the suspension was refreshed by the previous owner. He'd spent about £3,000. My suspension's in pretty damn good nick now. But then there are a few things I didn't have done. So for example, it wouldn't have been that much extra to go and get the brake fluid changed, but the reality is I can do that myself. So I'm not, whilst it's in the garage, I could have had bits and pieces done. Doing, you idiot. Am I right away? whilst I could have had that done, I've got to save some money in some places, and I'm a fairly handy bloke. So when speaking with Friends Green Porsche, we had a good chat about, you know, I'm reasonably capable, but there are things that it might make sense for them to do, and it might make sense for things for me to do because I'm capable. So one of them, I'm going to be doing my own brake fluid change. Also the rear deck struts are, well, basically they're in pretty bad shape. So the engine lid kept falling on Jack's head, which I know it would have only been, I think it would have been about 40 quid or so to get it fixed by Friends Green Porsche, and that seems like an inexpensive amount, but I've bought a pair of the struts myself for about 20 quid, and it's going to take me 15 minutes to do it. So it's not the end of the world. I haven't got an issue doing stuff like that. So that I'll be doing myself. So there's a fair few bits I will be doing myself over the coming months. But yeah, I'm not. Whilst the guys were very reasonable and did a good job and were good value for money on their labour rates as well, there are just some bits that it made sense for me to do myself, and I will be doing them in the future. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go and find something to pull over now, and I'll read through. Just go in there, and I'll read through some of the paperwork so you can hear what was done. Let's pull in here. It's a nice quiet road. Right, pulled into a nice quiet road now. Got my little folder, and let's see what I had done by FGP. So, total bill was £5,041. I had the IMS package, which basically was the EPS cylindrical bearing, so renewal of the IMS bearing seal, renewal of the rear main oil seal, renewal of chain tensioner seals, renewal of engine oil filter, sump plug and washer. All of that was $17.99 plus VAT. It is not normally that expensive. It is that expensive because it's a 996 with the Tiptronic, and it's the second generation one, so it's a little bit more expensive than say a Gen 1 or a manual. So take that into account. These prices as of first week of January 2022. So go and have a look at the Friends Green Porsche website. When I had a look, they basically are the most cost effective in my local area in sort of Hertfordshire, and I'd gone to a number of different specialists to have a look, and you could say that Jazz, Porsche or RPM Technic, again relatively close to me, they were all relatively similar price wise. None of them were outrageous prices compared to another, but for the works that I needed done, this seemed to be the best option, and I felt like I had a good rapport with Friends Green Porsche, which is important to me, because I feel that having that, they've not, for certain things they could have charged me more than they haven't done, and I guess part of that is they want to get return business. Coil packs, so I had my 6 coil packs done. That was $229.50 plus VAT. It would have been more, so labour cost was reduced because the engine was already removed. Had the up and over brake pipe replaced, again labour cost reduced because of the engine was already out, so that was $192 plus VAT. I had the air oil separator and air oil separator bellows replaced. Again, labour cost was reduced because the engine was already out. That was $101 plus VAT. Major service. So typically a major service would be $399, but this was reduced because we're already having the oil filter coil packs renewed for all the other bits and pieces. So that was reduced down to $146. Tiptronic gearbox service. So that was new transmission fuel, transmission oil replaced, automatic transmission fluid filter replaced, sump gasket, sump bolt, sump plug washer. That was $229. and I had the rear differential oil changed because I'd already had the front differential, not me, the previous owner had the front differential oil changed. And this is the unexpected bit, and the unexpected bit had basically added, well, £1,344 plus the VAT, but then because the front subframe had been dropped down, needed to get four-wheel alignment done as well because that was all out of whack. So dropped the front subframe to gain access to two heavily corroded and badly leaking small steering rack metal power assisted steering pipes. Upon removal of the pipes, one of the two large pipes was found to have a hole and be leaking. Reinstalled the subframe whilst the large pipe was on order. Dropped the subframe and removed the front coolant hose to allow access to the two small pipes and one large pipe. We need two small pipes and one large pipe. Reinstall front coolant hose. Reinstall front subframe. Fill and bleed power assisted steering. Fill and bleed coolant system. Tested and steering rack found to be making noises, likely due to be run for a period without sufficient power assisted steering fluid. Dropped the front subframe, replaced steering rack with a good used unit, and reinstalled the front subframe. Tested and okay. So they charged me 9.5 hours, which isn't as much as long as it actually took, and I think that's due to having so much other work done at the same time. So that was good of them to do that, but because that was dropped, they had to then do the four-wheel alignment. That was another £100. So that's how it was. So at the top, and that is how it is now. So yeah, all good. Yeah, so everything's in the green. Happy with that. So yeah, it's been an expensive start to the year, but the reality is I knew when I bought the car I'd always sort of budgeted £1,500 or so towards getting the the IMS done, and then I thought, well, actually no, I'm going to have to definitely get some other bits and pieces done. So I was maybe a little naive, hoping that it might come in for around £2,500–3,000, and that isn't reality. The reality is that other issues were found, and I guess when you've got a 19-year-old Porsche, there are going to be things that needed doing. However, I'm now so I'm 22 grand out in total for the car and the work, but I've now got a car that has had recent. So the previous owner, he had, what did he have done? He had a crap ton done. So he's had a couple of coffin arms changed, and fork arms changed, water pump and thermostat changed, and he had the low temperature thermostat put in. Top mounts and bearings at the front have been done. Front diff seals, replacing brake pipes, didn't say which one. Anti-roll bar bushes. He's had replacement drive belts, so the auxiliary drive belt's been done. What else have we got in here? Bump stops have been done. So yeah, it's and he in total had spent £2,988. So basically within a period of a year, this car's had £8,000 spent on refreshing and maintenance. Previous owner had put on new brake pads and discs. So basically we've got all the suspension has been checked and in good condition and replaced where necessary within the last year. All the brake pipes in the car have been replaced. No issues with the IMS bearing now. Oil's been changed recently. Sparks were done a little while ago. The coil packs have been done. Basically there's not an awful lot. This is Trigger's broom. There's not a lot left that oh, touch wood, Jesus, that could go wrong, hopefully. But you know, C4S prices are going up, and I'm not looking at this car as an investment. I'm looking at it as a car that I'm gonna love and enjoy and drive, that shouldn't cost me too much in the way of either maintenance ongoing or depreciation. I don't believe these cars are going to depreciate much now. So the only costs, if it appreciates, great, whatever. But I'm just looking at a car that I'm going to enjoy, that should be good from now. Everything should be there that should work. There's a few little niggly things that annoy me. It's the auto. So as you're driving, there's a little light in the dash which tells you if you're in manual, first, second, third, fourth or fifth. Sometimes third flickers. It's a little bit annoying. Fine, but I'm not going to replace the dials because I've got a flickering light telling me which gear I'm in. Don't care. The floor mat doesn't stick in place where it's meant to, which is annoying, and I'm worried it wouldn't want it to go up over the pedals at any point, but I can sort that out. The wipers are shite. They are absolutely shocking. So I'm going to replace those with the, so rather than the springy metal ones, I'm going to get the floppy rubber, like the Bosch, what are they called, Aero Twin wipers. I've replaced the ones with my Audi on it, and they're so much better, so I'm going to do the same for this. Tyres might need doing at some point because they're a little bit old, but otherwise pretty good. Oh, the heater. The heater decide if I put on the, so you can got different buttons to either focus it on the front vents facing me, the glass, or up towards the floor. If I have it facing me, as in like the normal vents blasting at me, it goes on to full heating for some reason, so it's really hot. So that's not ideal. But if I just turn off that central vent and then just have it going at the screen and the floor, the heating is back to normal. It's really odd. I don't know what's going on there. I think there's a switch somewhere, but I need to pull it apart and have a look. So it's a job, but it's not the end of the world. For FGP, they did note. I said that I thought the air conditioning was next, and they said that the front condensers are weeping, and it's basically because the front of the car's got this gaping great big mouth sucking in air, but also sucks in stones which damage it, but also leaves, and if the leaves get in there, they get in between the radiator and the air conditioning condenser. They get up behind and they basically turn to soil and rot it out. So I need to replace those. Could have had FGP do it, but that's a job I can do myself. So at some point this year, I'll have the bumpers off. I'll replace the condensers. I've had a look. They look like they vary around sort of 100, 150 each. So it's going to be a 200, 300 pound job. But that's something I can do myself. I'll probably do the rear suspension mount, the engine mounts at some point as well. So there's two engine mounts, and I need to see if they're original. So I need to take out the airbox so I can get a proper look in there. But I can see that one of the exhaust tips is a little bit lower than the other. So that makes me think that the engine mounts might need replacing. It could be I just need the tail tip adjusting, the exhaust tip adjusting. But I need to look and see the model number of the engine mounts to see if it's an older one or a replacement. If it's a replacement, probably fine. If it's an older one, then it's probably a good idea for me to replace that at some point. But I can do that. And I probably want to get myself a set of winter tyres at some point as well. So, well, winter wheels. But I'm also now thinking of investing in I've got a good trolley jack and jack stands, but I'm thinking about potentially getting something like a quick jack, so one of those portable car lifts, because I've got this car, I've got my daily drive, my Audi, and I've got my wife's car, and I do the maintenance on all of them, and it's just scrabbling about on the floor. It might just be worth me ponying up the money, get it done, so I can do it myself, and that will save us in the long run. So yeah, overall, really happy. So the reality is I could have spent more on a car in the first place. There are lots of C4Ss out there. Most of them seem to start around the £20,000+ mark. If I'd have gone out and spent £20,000, the odds are I would have still had work to do. If the IMS hadn't been done, I would have gone and probably got that done anyway because of my nagging doubts. And then what else could have gone wrong? So yes, I could have paid more in the first place and got a better car, but looking at this massive file of ownership details and receipts and bits and pieces, I'm pretty confident that she'll last me for quite a while and won't get me into too much trouble. So hopefully this is the start of a long and enjoyable relationship. I'll look after her, she'll look after me, and we're all good. So yeah, so that's it. That's my update. Please do go and check out Friends Green Porsche. I found them very, very easy to work with. They were honest about what needed to be done, what had to be done now, what could be put off should I want to, things that I could do myself, and I felt that honest rapport, that chatting with them meant that I had confidence they're going to look after me and do the right thing. So I've got total confidence that if I need anything done, I'm going to go to Friends Green Porsche. So if you're in the sort of North Hertfordshire sort of area, they're near Hitchin. I'll put a link in the description for their website and their channel. But yeah, I've got no problems with recommending them at all. They're doing a lot to their building at the moment. They're extending and expanding, so they're going to have a bigger showroom. Yeah, they're doing well. So yeah, I would thoroughly recommend them. So I guess that's it for me. So I will try and put out some more videos. There's going to be as I said, I've got a lot going on, but I'm going to be doing a lot of little bits and pieces to the car over the year. So I'll pop out little videos here and there with little tidbits and of whatever I'm doing. So hopefully it will either just give you an update on what I'm doing, or it might be something that I'm teaching you how to do that might be useful for you in the future. So I guess that's it for the moment. So thanks for watching, really appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind giving this a thumbs up, and if you find it even slightly interesting, subscribe, click the bell icon. I don't do a huge amount of videos, so it's not like you're going to be pinged with me every other week with updates. But if you want to see the updates on what's going on with the car, please do give me a subscribe and click the bell. That would be really helpful. So right, I love you and leave you. Thank you very much. I shall see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.